Hi, Steve Summers and Eric Scoble for Reduct.com. Eric, we're here after practice on Wednesday. It's a little bit chilly out.
It is a little bit chilly.
I just see Marcus Mariota running barefoot after being interviewed by a number of the media.
It felt bad for him. They didn't give him a towel or anything to cover his feet up. He was running around barefoot in, 38-degree weather. A little bit cruel.
Well, as controlling as the Ducks are around this place, I'm really surprised they let him stand around here this long in his bare feet on what.
Yeah, you don't want your starting quarterback catching cold right before the bowl game.
Yeah, well, hopefully that won't come up as an excuse on how they do. So, anyway, let's talk a little bit about what happened today and what the coaches were talking about.
Well, one of the things that was brought up was kind of the mentality that Texas may take about kind of winning one for Mack Brown, it's now been announced he'll resign after the game. And Helfrich said, that's kind of one of the things you're worried about when you're playing against a team who is losing a coach in kind of the fashion that it's going down. So that's something that they're aware of. Some of the people asked him if it can kind of go both ways, if maybe it can be a distraction, and he said he kind of hopes so, kind of jokingly. So that's one thing I guess to monitor. And the other thing that was interesting was the fact that this is, admittedly not really a neutral site bowl game. This is a game that is very much in the heart of Texas, and Texas will be, for all intents and purposes, the home team. And he said it's exactly the way they're preparing for it, just like they would prepare for any other Pac-12 team on the road.
I was interested when Mark came out to find out how much growth he's experienced over the regular season, now going into the bowl season, and he basically gave me a non-answer answer. So I'm not sure if he doesn't know how much growth there is, or if there hasn't been any, or if there has been and he's still evaluating. But
maybe not enough time to reflect, or not enough evidence. I don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah, so I guess we'll find that out for sure in the bowl game. As far as players walking out, they seem to be in the same morale. They seem to have the same attitude they had all season long. I haven't, at least from the body language, I didn't really pick anything up from what was going them walking by.
Sure, yeah, absolutely not. And of course, that's all we really can talk about, because that's all we see. But even before the Stanford and Arizona games, there wasn't, in my opinion, any sense of body language that would lead you to believe that they were not, right in the right mindset. So, yeah, we're certainly not seeing anything down here in Eugene that really kind of leads us to believe that they're faltering at all.
Now, one thing I did notice that I went over to record some interviews with Scott Frost, but there was a problem. Apparently, there was too much of people gathering around and blocking one of the walkways. I'm not sure what was that were being blocked, but I also didn't notice Nick Aliotti out here today.
Yeah, man, you never know. He was here on Saturday, I believe. We spoke with him on Saturday, and was, again, just kind of typical Aliotti. So we'll see. I don't know if that's something to monitor or not. I know there's been a lot of rumors about him and perhaps resigning after the season, but maybe he just wasn't available today.
Well, certainly on EDUC, there's been a lot of discussion on the boards about some of the comments he made, and again on last Saturday when he made a comment which I didn't think it was really a big deal, but drew some ire from some of the subscribers who follow the Ducks.
Well, I think that's been one of the things that's been really interesting to follow this season, is that in past years, the players and coaches have been really tight-lipped in interviews, and this year it seems like there's been some slippage of that, and you don't know if that's a change of philosophy from Coach Helfrich, from Chip Kelly to Coach Helfrich, or if it's just simply been questions that have caught the players off guard and coaches off guard, and they've kind of bitten into them. But certainly a number of things have been said, and Aliotti probably at the forefront of those conversations, that kind of made you go, wait, would you have said that last year or in the past if the coaching situation was different?
Well, I'll correct you on one point. There was a lot of communication from coaches and players prior to the Chip Kelly regime. That's really when the things sort of tightened up. Certainly before that, during the Mike Bellotti regime,
sure.
Players were much more available. I don't know, and perhaps
maybe it's resorting back to those ways. So.
Yeah. Well, one thing for sure, although things were cut off for local media, national media didn't have the same things. They were able to go in and get watch practice, get more in-depth direct interviews. Of course, once you lose 2 games, national media's gone, and so I guess that's the way it is. They're back dealing with us here local, so we'll see how that works out. Now let's switch it to basketball. Good win for the Ducks last night.
Yeah, this is one of those interesting things where the Duck basketball program is kind of slowly catching up to where the Oregon football program has been for the last 4 years, and that they're now closing in on a top 10 national ranking, haven't lost all season. Obviously last night got 2 of their premier players back, and Ben Carter and Dominic Artis, 2 guys who really figure to be key contributors and role players with this team this year, and that's going to be one of the things to follow going into Pac-12 play is how does Dana juggle all of these guys now. There's about 11 or 12 guys who garner playing time, and how do you kind of deal with that? And that was one of the questions he was asked, and he said he's not going to worry about it because, he'll figure it out. So that's one of those things to check out coming up here with obviously BYU this Saturday.
Well, if anybody can figure it out, it sure would be Dana Altman, who has continually surprised many observers just how well he can go out and coach. I know against Illinois, where he called a series of timeouts, great strategic timeouts, even though he said later that, well, that's not a way you can win a game, but it's pretty good coaching. So.
Yeah, I mean, you think you're continually impressed, not just in the game management, but in just from season to season, losing so many players and bringing in other pieces, and just kind of how well he's integrated everything together. It's just been pretty incredible to watch, and for Oregon basketball fans, you should be very excited.
Well, that's the lesson. Good coaches win games. So, anyway, for Eric Scopel, this is Steve Summers for eDuck.com.